Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, I'm going to issue a challenge right out of the gate. It sounds ridiculously simple, but trust me, it might just be the absolute hardest thing you do all day. I want you to put your phone down right now and do absolutely nothing.
And yeah, I literally mean nothing. No background music, no TV, no quick message checks, no social media, and definitely no other videos until we get through the whole shebang.
So just sit there for a second and honestly ask yourself, how long do you think you could realistically last? 30 minutes? 10? Maybe just 5? Or would your hand just kind of automatically reach out to check just one quick thing? We all know exactly how that goes, right? Poof, 45 minutes vanish into thin air, and you weren't even looking for anything specific in the first place.
Well, let's dive into the science behind scrolling loops and unpack exactly what's going on up there. Why on earth is it so incredibly hard to just stop scrolling? Why does the mere feeling of boredom suddenly feel, physically uncomfortable? And most importantly, what actually happens to your mind when you finally do put that phone down?
Part 1. The Science of the Loop and Variable Rewards. To really understand this invisible trap we're all caught in, we kind of need to do a scientific autopsy on the scrolling loop itself. And honestly, it all comes down to variable rewards. Picture this. You're swiping through your feed. First thing, super boring. You keep scrolling. Second thing is mildly interesting. Scroll again. Third makes you laugh. Fourth is shocking. Fifth is totally irrelevant. And then suddenly, bam, you find something absolutely fascinating. The secret sauce here is the unpredictability. You didn't know exactly when that golden piece of content would drop. So your brain doesn't just respond to rewards, it actually responds to the anticipation of a reward. Because you're uncertain if the next swipe is going to be a total dud or something amazing, your brain just screams, keep going, the next one might be it. It's literally a giant slot machine. That's exactly why scrolling is a whole different beast compared to sitting down to watch a traditional TV show with a clear, defined ending. In the scrolling loop, there is zero end in sight.
Moving on to Part 2, demystifying dopamine, because it's way more than just pleasure.
Now this brings us to a massive internet myth I'm sure you've heard a million times. People constantly talk about dopamine like it's this magical little chemical whose only job is to make you happy. But actually, scratch that. It's a huge oversimplification. Dopamine is not just a pleasure chemical. It's deeply, deeply involved in motivation, learning, and predicting rewards. It's the ultimate driver. Imagine your brain constantly scanning your surroundings, genuinely wondering, hey, is there something potentially rewarding over here? Dopamine is what's running that process. It's the engine motivating you to keep hunting for that unexpected, interesting content.
So over time, your brain starts connecting a trigger, like a tiny flash of boredom or stress, with a potential reward. The physical action of unlocking your phone becomes so entirely automatic, you're literally doing it before you even make a conscious choice. It goes like this. Trigger, which is boredom. Behavior, you unlock your phone. Reward, a temporary distraction. And you just rinse and repeat until it's completely hardwired.
Which brings us to Part 3, the wall of boredom and breaking the loop.
So, what actually happens when you finally hit the brakes, break that loop, and all that constant buzzing stimulation just goes quiet? If we track the timeline of stopping, spoiler alert, there's no dramatic chemical explosion or magical brain reset. In minute 1, you simply notice the urge. By minute 10, you're probably feeling pretty restless. By day 1, you start noticing these massive empty gaps in your day where you feel like you have absolutely nothing to do, even though you just gained hours of your life back. But here's the real game changer you'll quickly realize. An urge is not a command. Sure, your brain throws out the impulse to grab the phone, but you don't actually have to obey it. If you just sit there with that awkward discomfort without acting on it, the impulse eventually fades, and by day 3 and beyond, your brain actually starts looking for other things to do. You begin noticing your own thoughts again, and that creativity you thought you lost starts creeping back.
You know, a lot of folks think boredom is just a lack of stimulation, but it honestly feels physically uncomfortable. And why is that? Well, because when you scroll, the environment is making all the choices for your attention. But when you stop, suddenly you're the one who has to decide what to do with it. Boredom basically forces you to face the random thoughts, the fatigue, or maybe the underlying anxiety that you were actively avoiding by staring at a piece of glowing glass. The phone wasn't fixing those feelings, it was just throwing a blanket of noise over them. Put simply, silence reveals exactly what the noise was hiding.
All right, Part 4, the empty gaps and those little micro moments.
Let's zoom out and see how this bleeds into the rest of your daily life, especially those micro moments of emptiness we all run into. Seriously, think about how often you reach for your device. Waiting for the elevator? Phone. Standing in line for coffee? Phone. Feeling even slightly awkward in public so you pretend to text someone just to avoid eye contact? Come on, we've all been there. Lying in bed right before sleep? You guessed it. Because your phone is so frictionless and literally right in your pocket, your brain learns to instantly hit the escape hatch during every tiny gap in your day. This teaches your brain a really bad lesson. Whenever I feel discomfort, escape immediately. It's also exactly why winding down at night is so tough. Your physical body might be exhausted, but your mind is still sprinting a marathon of comedy, drama, and news, all while that bright blue light totally scrambles your circadian rhythm.
Part 5. The return of attention. It is a trainable skill.
Now, if you're listening to this and panicking because your attention span feels like it's been shattered into a million pieces, take a deep breath. Your attention span is absolutely not permanently damaged. It's simply a skill, it's a muscle, and right now, it's just been heavily trained for rapid changes and constant novelty. When you step away from the screen, you're asking your brain to do something entirely different. Cutting back on your scrolling helps you transition away from those fast rewards, the constant novelty, and short bursts of information. Instead, it forces you to retrain your brain to actually appreciate and tolerate slow rewards. I'm talking about things like learning a new language, building muscle, writing a book, or building a business. Those things do not give you a prize every 10 seconds. They take time. And practicing sustained attention is quite literally the only way you're going to achieve them.
And okay, we absolutely need to clear the air on something super important here. That whole dopamine detox trend you see plastered all over the internet, it's completely inaccurate. You can't just drain dopamine from your brain, and it's certainly not some toxic sludge that needs purging. You literally need dopamine to move, to learn, and to function as a human being. What you're actually doing when you finally put the phone down is changing your behavioral exposure to rapid, unpredictable stimulation. You're simply giving yourself fewer automatic chances to chase immediate novelty. You are not magically resetting your brain chemicals.
Finally, Part 6, Rebuilding Boundaries and Taking Back Control.
At the end of the day, technology itself isn't the villain in this story. A tool that you actually control is incredibly useful. The real issue is having a device in your pocket that constantly serves up endless novelty and completely obliterates any necessary boundaries. But look, you don't have to pack up and become a forest monk to take back control. There's no need to ghost the internet for 30 days. Instead, just introduce a little bit of friction. Start with just 1 single hour. Leave your phone in the other room while you eat dinner or watch a movie. By adding literally 10 seconds of friction between you and your screen, you force your brain to step out of that mindless, automatic habit loop and actually make a conscious decision about what it's doing.
Your attention is literally the primary way you experience your entire life. Handing it over constantly means you might just forget what it feels like to actually be in the driver's seat. So the next time you feel that automatic itch and you reach for your phone to fill a silent gap in your day, I want you to try something. Wait 10 seconds. Just hold the device in your hand and ask yourself this absolutely crucial question. Do I actually want to see something, or am I simply uncomfortable with seeing nothing?